Well, Steve White, Steve Arts 89. Wow. I think the writer's strike is actually happening. They've been talking about it. I thought they'll avoid it. They're not that stupid. I remember the last writer's strike. A lot of shows got cut short. A lot of movies didn't happen. A lot of things got messed up because they literally just have to stop working. So if you're doing a TV series, you can only film the episodes that are already written, and you can't edit them. You can't do anything. And comedy shows, stuff like that, pretty much all shut down because they don't have a lot of lead time writing because they all have to be topical and so forth. So yeah, it's going to be a big mess. I mean, I understand what they're fighting for. Basically, every time there's a new format of entertainment, writers usually and actors and so forth get screwed out of royalties, and the studios take advantage of these new elements to take advantage of people and not pay them. Like right now, the way that streaming works, I mean, TV, you got paid and got residuals, whereas now with streaming, you kind of get paid once. It's like a buyout of your rights, and then you don't get anything else. So you can have a show fail, you get paid, you walk away. You have a show be a hit and be, streamed, millions of, tens of hundreds of millions of times for years and get nothing out of it. So yeah, the writers all want basically the industry to update the laws to cover them, so they get a chunk of the streaming, because a lot of people aren't now. And it's kind of scary. It's kind of like when back in the 60s, like the original Star Trek actors didn't really get paid a lot for the episodes. They got paid okay, but they didn't get any residuals. So when Star Trek went into syndication, the studio didn't have to pay them anything. So their show's huge all around the country for a decade, and they're going to conventions to make money because they're not getting paid anything from the studios for the residuals. And that was a problem. I think a lot of the old Hollywood actors from the 60s and 70s, they didn't end up getting anything. But I think they sorted that out in the 70s or the 80s. So it really benefited actors later on because they would get residuals. And there are people who are still getting money from shows, hit shows, that they were in. Because once you get that hit show, once it's out in syndication and it's in everything and now streaming, well, you would think they would get the money, but that's the problem. They don't. So they're trying to fix that. So I understand why they're doing what they're doing, but it sucks because TV, the whole industry basically stops. And like I said, if you have written scripts like for the whole season, you're fine. You can finish out your season. My understanding is you can keep filming. You just can't write anything new. You can't alter anything. You can't edit anything. You can't make any changes on the set. You can't ad-lib. It's so there are restrictions. But if you haven't written in advance, and if you didn't see this coming and get your scripts out beforehand, it can be a disaster. Like the first Star Trek film, the first New Trek film, that was during a writer's strike, so they couldn't add in, I think they had a scene they wanted to put in with William Shatner, or they wanted to put in a scene with Uhura. They wanted to make changes as they were filming, as they were going into production, but they had to lock that script beforehand because there was a strike at the time. So stuff like that, So I don't like the writer's strikes. I understand that they're necessary, but it does suck. But fortunately, there's no shows really at the moment I'm really focusing on. There's just Superman and Lois. I don't really care that much about Yellow Jackets. It's fun, but yeah, I don't really care. None of the Star Trek shows really. I mean, will it affect that? Oh, maybe if we're lucky, it'll be long enough that it'll stop. Maybe it'll stop Starfleet Academy going into production, and then by the time the studio wakes up and decides to make Legacy, they'll just jump straight to that. There could be a silver lining to this. I just had to comment on it. I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe, but let me know what you think. Hopefully it won't be a long thing because people aren't working. It's like you gotta do this, but it's hell on everyone. So yeah, let's hope it doesn't last too long.